Hey everyone, my name is Macy, and today I'll be talking about disjunctive syllogism and justification. This can be found in our textbook in Chapter 8, Section B. So, the main point of this section was to explain the roles of disjunctive syllogism and justification. These are two separate things, but both are rules of inference, and they are important because they help us draw logical conclusions based on premises and syntax. So to start, you're probably asking, what is disjunctive syllogism? This is also sometimes referred to as DS, and it is ultimately an argument form that has a disjunctive statement as its major premise, and its conclusion and minor premise are categorical propositions. So its logical form is shown below. In this first line, you see the disjunctive statement, which serves as the major premise, and the minor premise, which is the negation of P, and together these produce the conclusion Q, which is also a categorical proposition. Now, to better understand this, we're going to look at a real example that kind of helps put things in context. So in this example, the sentence is either CDs are superior to records or DVDs are superior to film. So in this example, P is equal to CDs are superior to records, and Q is equal to DVDs are superior to films. Since the first premise is a disjunction, we know that if it is true, then at least one of the disjuncts is true. Since the second premise is the negation of P, CDs are not superior to records, P must be false in order for the second premise to be true. This means that in the first premise, Q must be true to ensure that the disjunction is true, and thus the conclusion Q is also true. Now, when looking at DS, there are many times where it is actually applied incorrectly. So here is an example of that. In the second line right here, you can see that the negation is just of F and not of G and H. However, DS is validly applied when there is a negation of the entire first disjunct, not just part of it. Therefore, the mistake in this example occurs because the negation in the second premise, the negation of F, is only part of the first disjunct in the first premise. So now that we kind of better understand DS, we're going to look at justification. So you might be wondering, what is justification and why is it important? Justification really starts to be used when we look at proofs. And you might be wondering, why are proofs important? But we create proofs using natural deduction by taking the given premises of an argument and deducing whatever is necessary in a step-by-step procedure to prove the conclusion. Now, in order to complete this proof that we've created, the natural deduction requires a justification for each step of the deduction. So that is why justification is important. It is applied to every validly derived step in a proof, and it is used to support claims and remove doubt, ultimately providing a way for us to check proofs and make sure that arguments are logical and valid. So now let's look at a simple example. The conclusion, which is indicated by this slash right here, is for reference. A proof is ultimately complete when a justified step in the proof displays the conclusion, just as this one does. In this example, the justification for line 3, right here, which is also the deduced step, is set off to the right here, and spells out its derivation. In this case, line 3 is derived from lines 1 and 2 by using modus ponens. Through this justification, the proof is complete. Now that we kind of understand justification through this simple example, let's look at a more complex example. So here, it would be very easy to get confused in this proof just because there are so many different steps, and it would, if you're just looking at it, be very hard to decide if the whole thing was logical. But by adding the justification and showing it to the side really helps you go step by step and make sure that the whole proof is logical and is valid. So The proofs in this, well, first, the conclusion, as you can see, is again marked by a slash, and you can see that the conclusion is Q. And so that is here in line 4. But from there, we start to get into our justifications. So line 5 is derived from line 1 and 3, both of which are premises by disjunctive syllogism. The next line, line 6, is derived from line 2, which is a premise, and line 5, which is a derived premise, by modus tollens. Finally, line 7 is derived from line 4, which is a premise, and line 6, which was a derived line, by modus ponens. The process of justifying each line ensures that a rule of inference is validly applied. It also provides a means for checking the proof. Therefore, the correct application of the rules of inference guarantees that lines 5, 6, and 7 have each been validly deduced, and through these justifications, we can conclude that this is a complete proof that is valid. Now, finally, to wrap things up, we're going to look at the first 4 implication rules. So all of these y'all have already learned either from my PowerPoint or from the previous PowerPoint, but this chart was just one that is in our book and is very helpful. It does describe modus ponens, modus tollens, hypothetical syllogism, and disjunctive syllogism. It allows you to kind of compare them based on their logical forms and really nail down which is which and how they are each different. So I hope that you find this helpful, and I look forward to hearing y'all's questions. Thank you so much.